Hello, this is Gray Sr. and coming to you from behalf of Ministry Moments. And every Friday, Lord willing, at 5 o'clock Central Time, I'll be coming and spending some time with you. And I hope you'll join me each week. Today, I want to talk to you about the pastor-wife relationship. The pastor-wife relationship. So I hope that I've jotted a bunch of things down. All of this comes about because of questions and people ask, and pastors' wives have asked about this a lot. And so I've tried to be of help. This is great. I will start our 55th year of marriage this June, and I'm in my 48th year of ministry. So we've spent most of our life in the ministry. It didn't start out that way. Started out, I remember when I told her I felt like God wanted me in full-time service. She said, what do I do? I don't know how to be a pastor's wife. And I said, well, don't feel bad. I don't know how to be a pastor. And so that's how we got started. And she'd been so patient with me. Michigan State University, I graduated from high school and went to college and prepared for accounting. And I went to work for General Motors. And for 7.5 years, and I loved every minute of it. And then I went to a sword conference and came home and announced to my wife that I felt like God wanted me in full-time service. And we had prayer and talked about it. And she said that she knew God was dealing with me about that. But this journey has been a wonderful journey. It's been a long one. And 33 years of the 58 were spent pastoring. And so there are some things that we both learned that I think might be of help to you. So if you want to jot these down, you certainly may. And again, welcome to Ministry Moments. Every Friday, Lord willing, 5 o'clock Central Time, you join us and we'll spend some time together. So let me give you some thoughts here. If you want to jot it down, you may, or come back and revisit this broadcast, you certainly can. Number one, do not carry church burdens home. Pastor, the worst thing in the world for you to do is, I know that their pastoring is 24/7. Your wife understands that. I understand it. You understand it. But don't carry, as heavy as those burdens may be, don't carry them home. Home ought to be a little bit of heaven. It shouldn't be a rehashing of all the problems, because first of all, she can't do a thing about it. You're the only one that's in the position to do something about it. So do not carry church burdens home. Number two, now this is going to sound like a paradox, but really it's not if you think about it. Never conceal major church problems. When there are times that, probably 4 times in 33 years, where I've had to sit my wife down and say, this is what's looks to me like is going to happen. And so never conceal major church problems. Don't leave her in the dark. Now, everyday things, don't give that to her. She does not need it. She's got a responsibility with the children, with you, keeping the home the way that it should be, and the household taken care of. So don't do that. You're the man. You carry those major church burdens day to day. But the major one, it's going to happen once, maybe twice in your ministry. But you're going to have to sit her down and say, this is what has happened, and this is how I'm going to deal with it. Next, pray together. I never leave the house without praying with Mrs. Gray. Never. And you need to do the same thing. Your prayer life together means a lot. She's the best prayer warrior that you have. Next, share Bible truths. Share Bible truths. Talk about the scripture. Talk about Bible truths. Now, my wife would teach the ladies, and she would share some of what she's going to teach, and then I would share with her sermon thoughts that I got, things that God would speak to me about. And even to this day, I do that. And I say, what do you think about this thought or this Bible principle? And we share that together. We talk about it together. And that's very, very important. You don't want the wife to spiritually get ahead of you, and neither do you want to get spiritually so far ahead of her that you cannot become that one flesh in the ministry. So share Bible truths. In fact, she has accused me of taking some of her lady lectures and turning them into sermons. Of course, I would never, ever do anything like that. So do not carry church burdens home. That's your job. You take care of it. But do not conceal major church problems from her. Don't let her get blindsided by some major thing. Pray together. Share Bible truths together. Next, soul win together. Mrs. Gray was raised Catholic, and she was able, in many cases, to lead people to Christ because of their Catholic influence and Catholic background when I couldn't get to first base with them, but she was able to. And when her health was good, we went soul winning together. It's very, very important. Next, visit the sick and shut-ins together. Visit the sick and shut-ins together. You have people who are in the hospital in serious situation. Well, let her go with you and visit. You have shut-ins. That's a great opportunity for you and her to have a little date together and go and check on the sick and the shut-ins. Very important. Next, speak publicly and proudly of her. Speak publicly and proudly of her. Let folks know how fond of her that you are and how much you admire her. That needs to be done publicly and privately. I'll never understand couples that will say negative things about their spouse in front of somebody else. There's just no reason for that. And so don't do that, especially as a pastor. You speak fondly of your wife, and that's very, very important. Next, praise her and treat her like a queen. Treat her like a queen. She ought to get the best car, the most reliable car. If you have two vehicles, let her have the best one. And that's so that she is not afraid of breaking down or something happening with the vehicle if she's out somewhere or shopping or driving to church or whatever it might be. So you make sure that you take care of her, praise her, and then also treat her like a queen. Next, let her run the household. Let the household be hers. Where she wants to put the pictures, you let her do it. Where she wants to put the furniture, you let her do it. That's her domain, and let her do it. Don't complain about it. Don't gripe about what she does. Let her do and take care of the household. Take care of the house. So I said, number one, do not carry church burdens home. That's day to day. You take care of that day to day. Don't put that burden on her. But number two, and that sounds like a paradox here, but please listen, never conceal major church problems. That'll happen about 2 or 3 times in your ministry. But when it happens, sit her down and explain to her what you're facing and those major things. Pray together. Have prayer together. Next, share Bible truths. Next, soul win together. Win souls together. Next, visit the sick and shut-ins together. Speak publicly and privately and proudly of her. Speak fondly of her. Treat her like a queen. If you got 2 vehicles, make sure she's got the best vehicle, the most dependable one. Let her run the household. Let her do what she wants to do inside that house. That's her domain. Let her do that. She's the queen of the home. She's the mother. She's the first lady of the home. And so you do that. Next, give her money weekly for the household. Set an amount. Give it to her. That's hers. Let her do what she wants to do with it. If she wants to save out of that for something, let her do that. Don't worry about it. But you just give her the same amount every week so that she has money for herself and money for the household. Next, be her best friend. The worst thing in the world is for her to have best friends in the church. Everybody should be a friend to her. She should be a friend to everybody. And really, this best friend thing, it ought to be husband to wife and wife to husband. The best friends you have ought to be your wife. The best friend she has ought to be the husband. You have daughters who say, that girl's my best friend. The reason she says that is because she'll tell her things she'll not tell her mother, and that's not good. A boy who will say, that's my best friend over there, is saying, I'll tell him things as a peer that I will not tell my dad, and that's not good. So the best friend concept ought to be found inside of that circle, that family circle, so that the wife is the best, her best friend's her husband. The best friend for the husband's the wife. The best friend for the daughter's the mother. the best friend for the boy is the dad. And that best friend concept inside of that unit, the home, the family, is good. That's good. But the other will create cliques. It will cause you more trouble than Carter's got liver pills. And I have no idea. I've said that my whole life. I don't know if Carter has liver pills. I think that's from decades ago. Next, keep the mystique. Keep the mystique. My daughter Karen said to her mother one time when I came out of the bedroom, she said, "Does Daddy sleep with a white shirt and a tie on?" And my kids never saw me run around in my underwear or night clothes at all. And there's a mystique there that a husband should keep with his wife and a wife should keep with the husband. You leave that bedroom dressed. Now, when you get as old as Mrs. Gray and I, we wander around the house. but the truth, when the children are there, don't do that with the children are at home, okay? And I said, one, do not carry church burdens home. Those daily burdens you have, that's your responsibility. You carry it. Don't dump it on her. But 2 or 3 times in your ministry, there's going to be a clear major battle that's going to occur church-wide. Okay, you inform her, let her know what it is and how you're going to handle it so that she has that security. You pray together, share Bible truths together. You'd be amazed what your wife will come up with out of the Bible, and it might help you with a Bible study or a sermon. It would. Now, don't tell her you got it from her, but get it. Soul win together. Visit the sick and shut-ins together. Speak publicly and proudly of her. And be very speak fondly of her. And never, whatever you do, if you're having a little tiff between the two of you, you get in a car and drive around the block, but don't you dare say something in front of somebody else. Don't you do it. You just speak well of your wife in others' presence. And she speak well of you and others' presence is so, so important. Let her run the household. Give her money, weekly money, the same amount every week so that she can take care of the household. That's her domain. That's her kingdom. Let her take care of that. Next, be her best friend. The best friend concept you need to teach to your family, Pastor, because if not, you're going to create some cliques and you're going to create some problems in your church. Keep the mystique. That's very important. You have children at home. You walk out of that bedroom dressed. Once you walk around the house, it's just not a good picture even right now in my mind. All right, next, speak well of church members. This is very important. Do not speak. You may have a issue with a church member and you may be trying to work it out. Don't take that issue home. When you think of that church member, you speak well in front of your kids and in front of your wife concerning any church member. Do not speak badly about a church member in your church. You be positive in your conversation about church members because everybody has a bad day. Everybody's going to be a little cattywampus. Cattywampus, got that word? You can tell a Texan, but you can't tell them much. But it's going to happen. And when it does, don't let that be the only picture that your wife thinks of when she thinks of brother so-and-so or sister so-and-so. Please don't do that because allow people. Brother Howes, one time when I was talking to him, he drew a circle and he said, and then a bigger circle. He said, your inner circle, if they step out, don't be surprised if they're not a little upset about something. Those are not part of the inner circle. Don't be surprised if they step outside, say something a little critical. Don't be surprised at that because that's human nature. But you don't want to depict someone or characterize somebody or have a caricature of a church member that's not in a good light because no one deserves to have one part of their life become them in totality. You don't want that. Next, a date night. Friday, Mrs. Gray and I, that belonged to her. And now our date nights are to the doctor, We go see the doctors, and that's when we have our date time. But have a date night. And it's good to get away once a month if you can, or once every 6 months. Good to get away for a couple of days. We took vacations every year, not for my sake, but for the family's sake. And my wife would allow me to take one white shirt. That's all I could take. And when I went to a church, I was not to preach. I was just to be there. And it was refreshing. It was fun. And we used to love to go up to near Texarkana. And they had a place up there with cabins, and we would rent a cabin and spend 2 weeks. Now, I'd miss 2 Wednesday nights and 1 Sunday morning. And I think that that's important to do. So we had a date night, but also a family time. Next, big birthdays and anniversaries are a big deal. Now, I've got to confess a sin here. I was raised in a family where birthdays meant nothing and anniversaries meant nothing. I mean, meant nothing. My wife celebrates Groundhog Day. She celebrates. She never forgets a date. She's always. She just doesn't forget. Now we've got so many people in the family. It's expensive. We can't afford to do what we used to do when it was just the 4 kids and mom and dad. But she never forgot a birthday. Never, ever, ever forgot any particular important date like that. And to this day, she's got all the dates down. She's just sharp. I'm not that sharp. I just can't recall things. She can remember something that happened in 1957 on Thursday afternoon at 3:00 and tell you what the weather report was for that day. That just happens to be her. Now, your relationship between your pastor and your wife, pastor, between you and your wife, is so important. And if you will conduct yourself like, just some suggestions I'm giving you. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just trying to take my life and use it for the furtherance of the gospel, and take Mrs. Gray and myself and use our lives for the furtherance of the gospel. We're on the other end of this thing. I'm 3 years overtime. If 70 is the number, I'm 73 at the time of this broadcast. Well, I'm on overtime and extra innings, if you will. But I want to take this and use it to be of benefit to you. And you young preachers, I'm so proud of you. You've been to war and back in the last 10 years, you young guys, because there have been so many Rick Warren wannabes, and so many of this emerging church, and so many attacking Brother Hiles and Brother Robertson and Lester Roloff and those great men, or Curtis Hudson, those great men, Jack Hudson, those great men of the past, and trying to tear them down, so to justify and use their flaws and their humanity to justify living a loose life. And so I'm proud of you. You've stood the test, and you're standing tall in the saddle, and I appreciate your loyalty. If we can't learn from the past, we'll have no future. And if you're looking for perfection, then I wouldn't even look in the mirror every morning. But if you're looking perfection, but look at the great works of the past and the good things that they did and how they achieved and how they were blessed of God, and learn those things. The word honor, for example, simply means put down your weight on the good. That honor your parents. Well, sure, your parents fussed at each other, and sure, they had moments when they flew off the handle. But wait a minute. If you're to do what the Bible says and live a long life, it's not going to be because you obey them. It's because you honor them. That's exactly what the Bible says. That is the promise that gives you long life. Honor. Put weight down on the good. There's a lot of good things that, my pastor was so mean and so rough. Oh, get off that, you big baby. Snowflakes. But I'm proud of you young men who've stood tall in the saddle and said, I'm going to admire the great men of the past and learn from them, even though they are flawed. For all have sinned and come short of the glory of God. But that includes you, young man. And so don't expect people to look to your leadership because they're going to look at your imperfections, because you're going to reap what you sow. So that's why it's very important. The pastor-wife relationship is so important, to be the right role model for the other couples in the church, and to be the right persona, if you please, of those traits, those Christian traits that you ought to have. I hope this has helped you. I sure enjoy this every Friday, 5 Central Time, Ministry Moments, and I'll be with you, Lord willing, next Friday. And go to solvechurchproblems.com and subscribe, because you'll get a blog every week. You'll get sermons. We went back to 1980. The very first sermon that I preached at the Longview Baptist Temple was entitled Hope. You can go to solvechurchproblems.com and go to sermons, and you'll find that sermon. And we're going to start placing on there every week. And you can follow us from 1980 on. Also, there are question and answer places on the solvechurchproblems.com. There is a ministry idea a day. There's a quote a day. I try to put everything on there. There are these ministry moments are on there. If you want to go back and revisit some that have already been taught, you can certainly do that. But go to solvechurchproblems.com and subscribe, and you'll get those things on a weekly basis. Then also BereanPublications.com out of Jacksonville, Florida. BereanPublications.com. That's the place to go to get my books, not just my books, but books of fundamentalists who've not dipped their sails at all. Not at all. I mean, these are rock rib fundamentalists that Berean Publications, they publish the books. And I'm very grateful to Dr. Greg Neal and for Berean Publications. I love those guys. Those guys are just excellent. My new book should be coming out this summer, and looking forward to getting that book, The Lost Commandment, out to you. Also, ibaptistcollege.org, ibaptistcollege.org. It's IBOC. We have a veteran faculty, no less than 20 years experience, ready to help you to finish your education. It's going to bother you. Send us your transcripts. Go there and sign up, enroll. Send us your transcripts. We'll help you to complete the Bible degree. We'll also help you to get started in a ministry. Pastor, if you want to have a Bible Institute, we'll help you launch your Bible Institute. We'll help you with the website, to maintain the website. We'll provide all the academics that you would need. You take care of the spiritual aspect of your church members. The more Bible they know, the better ready they'll be to accept a Sunday school position to teach. A lot of them are just fearful of it, but a Bible Institute would be a good way to prepare your people. And we have every degree that's necessary for the ministry available to you. Dr. Jeff Smale is doing an excellent job as president of our college. So go to ibaptistcollege.org. Well, another Friday, some more time together, pastor-wife relationship. I hope this has helped you. I hope you'll go back and review and go over it. If I went too fast, forgive me. I lived in Michigan too long. Got some of that Yankee blood in me, I guess. I was born in Arkansas, and I was pretty much raised in Michigan. Actually, the truth is I went behind enemy lines to rescue my wife. She was born in Michigan and at Bronson Hospital. But I went behind enemy lines and rescued her and brought her south. And God bless you. I hope this helps you. Join me again, would you? Next Friday at 5 p.m. Central Time for Ministry Moments. God bless you. Have a great weekend.